All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome and happy Earth Day. Thanks for joining us for another session of 30 Minutes With. This is Downtown Spokane's recurring webinar series where we bring to you some of the most pressing topics of the day to be talked about by some of our community leaders and industry experts. My name is Kevin Campbell. I'm the Business Relations Coordinator for the Downtown Spokane Partnership, and today I have the pleasure of introducing our featured presenter, Lee Williams. Lee is the CEO of Community Minded Enterprises. Her organization has been doing a lot of work on childcare lately, so she's going to be speaking with us today about some of the challenges that childcare is presenting to employers, as well as their employees, and how discussing some of the possible solutions to address those challenges. So some of you may remember back in the fall, we had Edie Rice-Sauer, the Executive Director of Transitions, on to present about childcare. And as time has kind of moved on and things have gone along in our effort to kind of reopen here, we've thought that the topic of childcare is still a very pressing and a very relevant one. So we wanted to kind of revisit that. So we thank Lee and Community Minded Enterprises for taking the time to talk with us about that today again. So in a moment, I'll pass things over to Lee. If you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to just put them into the chat box. And once she is finished with the prepared portion of the presentation, we can use that time to get to any of those questions and open it up for any other discussion you'd like to have. So with that, the last thing I'll note is that we do record these sessions. So we make them available online afterwards on the Downtown Spokane YouTube channel. So you will be able to reference any of this content and share it if you'd like. So with all of that, I'll now turn things over to Lee. Lee, thank you so much for being here with us today. We appreciate it, and we're looking forward to everything you have to say.
Thank you, Kevin. I really appreciate being invited to this to talk with you about childcare. It's something that is very familiar to me after 30 years or more working in early learning in one way, shape, or form. As a director in a childcare center, as a licensor and a licensing supervisor, and also in the nonprofit world. So there's a lot of different ways to look at childcare. Today, I'm really going to be focusing on how employers can look at childcare. I want to share some statistics with you because I get asked a lot, okay, what has the pandemic done for childcare? So let me tell you, there are 3 childcare centers, 6 family childcare, and 5 programs serving school-age only children that have closed permanently during the pandemic. Centers have lost 158 slots for children. Family childcare has lost 66 slots for children, and school-age only has lost 63 slots for children. So the total permanent slots gone are, 287. Which is 6% of our licensed childcare capacity. I think we can all agree that is a very high percentage of loss of childcare and how important it is that we really look at our childcare system and try to weigh up for our community and certainly for the people that work for you. So today, it's employers lead the way because I really feel like employers can lead the way. So I'm going to start with a really simple explanation of what is childcare. So Kevin, you can go ahead and move it forward. So childcare that is licensed by the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. They do license childcare centers, family childcare homes, and school-age only care. And as well as that, there are federally funded childcare programs. You're probably all familiar with Head Start. There's also Early Head Start. There's also state-funded programs for preschool, referred to as ECAP, or the Early Childhood Education Assistance Program. And then there is the more informal type of care, where it is family members, so maybe grandma or auntie or a cousin, friends that you have, or neighbors that live close by that provide care. And that is not licensed and is usually very informally arranged between the family and the caregiver. So let's move ahead and talk about licensed childcare. As I said, childcare centers serve children 1 month to 12 years and they're community-based. Family childcare serves children birth to 12 years and they're in someone's home. So it's much more personal. There are no differences in the quality of childcare between childcare centers and family childcare homes. Sometimes we are asked that. We as an organization provide coaching, technical assistance, and professional development for any licensed childcare program. So that would include family childcare as well as childcare centers. So let's move ahead. So meeting family and employer needs. Well, you probably all know that your families need something that's affordable, something that's accessible, and something that's high quality. Employers can help with affordability by giving access to flexible spending accounts, employee stipends, or assistance understanding tax credits. There's lots of new tax credits that are coming out for families right now that could save your families a lot of money if you are willing to provide them some assistance with that in your business. And accessibility, and we'll talk about that in a little bit about how employers might be able to help with accessibility. Let's go ahead and move on. So I get asked all the time, okay, I get it. I get that there's a childcare issue and I need to help my employees, but I need help. I need to know how. So today I'm going to give you some fairly specific things that you can think about as a way to help your employees with childcare. The first is there is a free access to a line for families called the Family Center, run by Childcare Aware of Washington. Parents can get directly either call or get online and search for the type of childcare that they're looking for. There's no cost to it for the person using the service, and they will narrow it down to whatever area that the family's looking for childcare. Then there's providing information on public subsidy programs. So we do have families that do qualify for what's called Working Connections childcare. If as an employer, you become educated about what those income levels are, if you have minimum wage employees that are working for you who do not have another income coming into the home, they are very likely eligible for Working Connections childcare, and that could help them pay for their childcare with no expense to the employer. Also, to advocate for public options, we have state-funded preschool, as I said. We have state-funded birth to 3 programs. If you advocate for those programs to be part of our system, they can take the place of some families that are paying for childcare in slots that your employees could take. So it's kind of moving people to a place that'll really help them and also help you and your employees. There's also employer paid stipends for childcare. That's pretty straightforward. You as an employer say, well, for every employee that's using childcare, we'll pay X amount of dollars toward your childcare. Then this is a little more complex, purchasing mixed income childcare slots in established childcare programs. So you may have childcare programs near you or near where the parents live, where you could actually purchase some slots to have your families be able to go into, or you can simply develop a relationship with a childcare program and keep in touch with them about what their vacancies are. So if they know that you're interested as an employer to have your employees attend, they can be part of that partnership with you. And then make a charitable donation to a donor advised pool. Many foundations do start donor-based pools for any corporation, any entity to be able to put in motion so that when that need comes up in your business, you're able to pay. Maybe a reserve account that you set aside for that particular reason as part of your business expense. That's another option. So those are the low cost, low risk options. So we'll move on. So the case for employer sponsored options. Why and how will this benefit my business? Let's just look at the national picture. Nationally, only 8% of center-based providers offer care during non-standard hours. We in the business call that before 6 in the morning or after 6 in the evening or on the weekends. The normal 6 to 6, Monday through Friday, is much more available and much more accessible. But if you have employees that are going to work before then or after that or on the weekend, they have very little access to childcare. The need is high. 43% of all children under 18 in the United States have at least one parent who works an irregular schedule. That's a pretty stunning statistic. That's almost half of who's working. So it is not a small issue. It's a huge issue for communities to pay attention to this. In Spokane, we have less than 3. And I'm probably being generous saying 3. I think the last time we did a look at this, we only found 2 that were willing to do that. So that's not enough, obviously, to take care of your childcare needs at irregular hours. I'm going to get back to statistics here in a little bit, but 54 licensed childcare programs in Eastern Washington closed permanently, and only 27 have applied for new licenses. So you can see we're not keeping up with the supply and demand there. We need to recruit new employees, and part of helping them is finding them childcare or knowing where to send them for childcare or having accessibility and payment for childcare. I know as community-minded enterprises has been recruiting employees lately, and we have had a tough time drawing people in. And this is one way that you could offer a benefit that would draw a new employee in to your business. It also helps people keep their jobs. It reduces absenteeism because they're not on the phone after 3 in the afternoon, checking on their child who's school age, who's come home with a key to be in the home alone. So let's move forward. So there are some high cost risk employer sponsored options as well. So these a little bit more investment, and one could argue a little bit better return on investment. So if you pay premium, even when they're vacant rates to existing providers to make any new opening available to the company, that's one option. You could purchase reserved capacity in existing childcare businesses for your company's employees. You could acquire ownership of an existing childcare business where the owner is retiring or relocating or closing, and do a turnkey to a new childcare with a facility already there, already been licensed, and could be ready to go with very little to get it started. You could support caregivers that are family, friends, or neighbors to provide weekend and odd hour care. I put in parentheses, fun to play and learn. We do have at Community Minded Enterprises a model that supports those caregivers that are taking care of children in their home. It might be someone who is not really familiar with taking care of children, or it's been a long time. And play and learn is a way for them to bring the child with them to a place where they can have a play experience, and the caregiver learns about how to do developmentally appropriate things and fun things with children. You could assist with costs of conversion of family, friend, and neighbor to licensed childcare. You could fund limited scale sick childcare capacity, pay a membership fee to a private or publicly funded hub satellite early learning model with access to accommodate employees. That's quite a mouthful. Basically what that means is there's a service that helps you as an employer be able to know when there's access to childcare. That service supports the childcare that your employees are going into. Therefore, you kind of have a front row seat for getting that childcare. You can contract or outsource with a local chain. You can construct or remodel space for a company facility run by an outsourced childcare business. Or you can own and operate your own childcare facility for employees. So that's just the higher level options that are available. Now we'll move on to why is this important for children? Well, the first 100 days of life are critical for a child's development. So driven in large by ongoing reciprocal serve and return interactions with adult caregivers that literally build the architecture of their brains. Now think about that. It's not just a place for children to stay, it's a place for children to actually have their brains built so that they can enter life in school ready to go, ready to learn. High quality early education and care programs help 3 to 5-year-olds develop both cognitive and character skills, including attentiveness, perseverance, self-control, and sociability. So we'll move forward. So how can you tell us what your needs are? Well, we do have a SurveyMonkey link available that if you click on it, you can give us information about what it is that you're seeing is a childcare issue for you. We are gathering this information together to report to the Department of Commerce at a state level through a grant that Community Minded Enterprises is taking the lead on. And we are very hopeful that the model program or shared services program that we're building as part of this will help you to figure out some of the issues and problems that you're having with childcare. So we're really reaching out to ask you, what is it that you can tell us about what your needs are? We have lots of options, as you saw. We want to tailor them and make sure they're customized to meet your needs. Oh, thank you, Kevin, for putting that in there. Okay, let's move forward. So the role of business. Lack of access to quality and affordable childcare is a significant barrier that limits the supply of talent. Companies that have an active role in helping their employees secure these services generate billions of dollars a year in revenue due to increased workforce participation. This is from Employer Lead the Way, the U.S. Chamber Foundation. It educates employers and empowers them with resources to better support their workforce. So we're all facing workforce issues right now, whether you're for-profit, nonprofit, small business, large business, it's hitting everyone. And it's everyone's issue. Everyone needs to be able to find their way to help out. So let's move to innovative local solutions. So we do have some innovative local solutions. When companies provide childcare, employee absences decrease by 30%, and job turnover can decline by 60%. That is huge. So a hub connecting childcare with employers that's membership driven, matching needs of employers with childcare businesses is what I was talking about before, which is joining or paying a membership to an entity that will help you to connect your employees directly with childcare and also help the childcare be a sustainable business at the same time. Convene childcare owners with downtown employers, have conversations, invite them in, talk with them about what it is that they can provide for you. Identify property and provide subsidies for lease costs. Oh my goodness, this is a game changer for childcare businesses. If they can get either a cut or a subsidy in their lease, that can make a difference about whether they might be able to put a childcare downtown. Connect family, friends, and neighbor caregivers with access to socialization for children and resources for activities and knowledge of child development, the play and learns that I was speaking of before. Assist families with transportation costs. Sometimes, just the getting a bus pass, having the ability to do an employer-sponsored carpool, any of those things that would help them with transportation costs can also make a big difference. So what else? That's the question. I'm ready for the questions and what it is you have to ask, or maybe some experiences you want to share.
Thanks, Lee. We appreciate that. So yes, if anyone would like to go ahead and jump in with any questions, now's a great time to do that. I do have a question, Lee, just to get things kicked off. You did talk about non-standard hours and
yes.
How that's kind of a hard thing for childcare to do. So I'm curious if you could just talk a little bit more about maybe what are some of the obstacles or what you think could be some solutions to kind of getting more of an influx of that.
I would be glad to, Kevin. Thank you.
Yeah.
The obstacles to it are paying for the staff to be there. To not get too far into the weeds, but let me use an example. So if I have an infant program as a childcare center, I can have 4 infants in that classroom and a teacher. In order for that classroom to pay that teacher, I need to fill all 4 of those infant slots. So if it's after hours, what ends up happening is they might get 1 or 2 infants that need care. They're hiring a teacher to be in there with them, and they can't pay that teacher because they are not getting enough revenue for those 2 slots that they're filling. So they do run into that frequently for all age groups, actually. The other is, I would call it wear and tear on a facility. So if a facility is used during the day and a facility is used in the evening, just trying to keep it clean and up to date and keep those things as quality as we would like to see them, that takes, again, resources to do that. And then what parents do, this is going to make total sense to all of you, is they'll pay for childcare until someone offers it to them at a lesser amount. So they may engage in a childcare center or family childcare home at a certain tuition. And as soon as grandma or auntie or someone can take the children, they pull them out. And that causes that program to then lose business. So we have to figure out a way to do some help, making sure that those connections are supported. So if there were an entity in between that was saying, okay, employer, you have X amount of employees that need care. There are these age groups. We know where we can put them. We need you as the employer to assure us that those children will stay there for whatever the agreement is. Maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's a year, so that the child care can be sure that they're going to be able to hire a staff and keep that program running without running a deficit. So they don't want to run a deficit to help you with childcare. So those are really the compelling reasons.
Excellent, thanks for that.
Yeah.
And so I do also, if I could just chime in with another one too, but I'm curious to know from your perspective, when you kind of talk about the low risk and low cost and the higher risk and higher cost, is there any, what sort of, from the employer perspective, how should they be approaching what might fit their needs best, or should we be looking at kind of certain options first as far as trying to address this overall need of, an inadequate amount and quality of childcare available for employers and families?
Well, yeah, being responsible for a business myself, I would say look at those lower cost options first, finding out information about the family call center, making sure your employees know that there's a place to call where they can get information about what childcare may be available either in their neighborhood or around your business. The other thing would be look at your flexible spending account. Look at your reserve accounts. Do you have a way of setting aside funds that can help families to be able to access childcare? Affordability is always the first thing parents will bring up. Another thing might be connecting with community-minded enterprises, asking, is there some way that you could guide us in whatever options we may need? We are putting together a model shared services option that could give information like that. We are looking at, would you be willing as an employer to pay us a fee for accessing that service so that we can staff it and be sure that you can get really good information about what childcare option may fit you, and also access to what childcare options may be out there.
Great.
Does that answer your question, Kevin?
Yeah.
I'm so deep into it, sometimes I'm not sure.
Yeah, no worries.
If I'm really answering the question. So
no, burdened by expertise.
Yeah.
And we got a chance to talk briefly last week, and one of the things I was hoping you could maybe expound on a little bit too was just the scenario we find ourselves in as we kind of come into the reopening of the economy, and people that we've seen, all have to go to work from home, or the, millions of particularly mothers that have either had to abandon their job or just remain at home. So do you have much insight on how we can kind of tackle this issue? Because I know we kind of said there's this chicken egg scenario going on where childcare centers may not be willing to open up, or building owners may not be willing to put childcare centers into their buildings if there's not people coming back to work, but people may not be able to come back to work if those options are there. So how do we kind of navigate
it is a complex issue, and I'm really glad you brought it up that way, because I don't think people think about it that way often. They think childcare, put a child in, it's really quite that simple, but it's really not. I mean, for the family, it's very complex, because they're trying to figure out, okay, what hours do I need childcare? What ages are my children? Can I have all my children be in the same place? Can I afford it? Am I eligible for any help for childcare and paying for childcare? Can my employer help me at all in doing that? I would think as an employer, what I would do and what we have done is to open that up to a conversation with your employees. If they're working remotely, asking them, if you need them to come in, what is it that you need to come in? Is childcare part of that issue? If it is, then to find out, okay, what are their needs really? Do they have school-age children mostly that they're running around the house because they're not in school? Is it because their preschooler has nowhere to go? Is it because they have a baby and they can't find a spot? A lot of it is just really getting a dialogue with your employees about what their needs really are. Because a lot of times, I'm being stereotypical here and I apologize, but this is a she recession. And the reason is because women are reticent to bring up that childcare is a problem. They don't want to divulge that because it makes it sound like if there's a promotion or a way to get ahead in the company, they might not be looked at in the same way that a male counterpart would be. Really not fair because, men are dads and they have the same responsibilities. But for whatever reason, women did pull themselves out of the workforce. And so the only way to get them back in is to talk with them about what resources it takes to get them back. And that's some of what we want to know as part of our survey, is really fill that out for us. If you know what it is your employees are really struggling with, we'd want to know that, because as a community, we want to work at building capacity. We want to recruit new childcare programs. We want to support the workforce that's going in there. Without knowledge from the businesses about what you need, that's really difficult. So if you could provide that knowledge, it could really help us move forward.
Excellent. Well, thanks for that. And yeah, just as a reminder to everyone, we do have the link to that survey in the chat box there. We are just about at time. So Lee, is there anything else you'd like to kind of add or let us know?
There is a little bit. I mean, I did speak really briefly about advocating, and I want to add this in the end. There will be a poll that goes out here in Spokane County about early learning. It's going to go to a variety of households. Really encourage anyone that receives that to answer it, to participate in it, because as a community, we are trying to figure out what is it that we really need to recover from this pandemic and move forward. What families are out there that we're not reaching that really do need to be reached? And these could be your potential new employees. If we were to help these families to be able to provide childcare for them, they could be your next employees. Right now, they're going to stay where they are because they can't afford to reach out and be your employee. So please fill out that poll. If you get an opportunity to advocate for childcare with any of our state legislators or our city council people or our county commissioners, please let them know how important it is for you as a business to have a robust childcare community here in Spokane. Because if you don't speak up, they won't know. So I just encourage you all to speak up. And thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me in today to have this conversation. Thank you to all of you that logged on, who are listening. I hope that you will follow up. I hope our phones are ringing off the hook and you're filling out the survey, and that we get to have more dialogue and conversation. This is not just the last time.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Lee. We appreciate it. And yes, we'll certainly be, continuing to communicate everything that's going on, these surveys and the results and ongoing efforts as time goes on. So we'll be in touch. And,
Right. Thank you, Kevin.
Feel free to reach out to you. And if anyone has any questions for us here at the Downtown Spokane Partnership or how we might be able to help, please feel free to reach out to us. And with that, we'll go ahead and sign things off. I hope everyone has a great day. And thank you again, Lee, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you. Thank you to the Downtown Spokane Partnership. You're really showing leadership with tackling this issue. We really appreciate it.
Well, yeah, we appreciate that, but thanks for, really helping bring to light how much of an issue it is, and we look forward to working with you and transitions and blueprints for learning. A lot of great partners.
Work very closely with Edie Riceauer, for
yes,
sure.
exactly. So a lot of partners here in the community, and we're happy to be a part of that, and look forward to everything coming on in the future. So thanks a lot,
Thank
everyone.
you.
We appreciate it.
All right.
Take care and have a great rest of the day.
Bye-bye.